pressure's on in the Pac-12 North. Oregon is undefeated, hopes to win a trip to the conference title game and beyond. But the Ducks still have to battle Oregon State and Stanford before this season is done. Greg Bullerjack, Joe Klatt, so glad you're with us. And we've got two good football teams today. They're very similar, and there's a strange twist that's intertwined between the two.
I can't remember a time when two teams that controlled their own destiny to a Rose Bowl both were switching quarterbacks in the middle of the season. And it starts with Stanford, and it's going on right now with Kevin Hogan. Last week against Colorado, he came in the third series in the game and played very well, to the point that he's going to get his first start of his career here today. A couple of touchdown passes last week. They love his athleticism outside of the pocket. For Oregon State, Cody Vaz takes over for Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion, a very good player, played earlier in the season, but Vaz doesn't turn the ball over. Only one interception in the games that he's played, and he's undefeated as the starter for the Beavers. Rose Bowl on the line here today. Stanford, Oregon State desperately want to get to that game, and a couple of inexperienced quarterbacks at the helm.
All right, let's get to it.
Petros Papadegas, our sideline insider. And Pete, one of Oregon State's biggest concerns, Stanford running back Stepfan Taylor.
And what a beautiful day, Bowler, for Pac-12 football, and a beautiful day for Stepfan Taylor to break some records. He is 53 yards away from 1,000 yards. That would be 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons for him. That's never happened at Stanford. He's 316 yards away from being their leading career rusher of all time. And Stepfan Taylor is not flashy, but he is tough. He'll always go get the extra 3 yards. He can pick up blitz. He's a one-stop shop on every down back. And David Shaw knows that he needs everything from his running back up against this vicious Oregon State defense.
David Shaw in his second year at Stanford and the reigning Pac-12 Coach of the Year. His counterpart, Mike Riley. What a turnaround. 3-9 a year ago. This year, the Beavers 7-1. Stanford won the toss. They chose to receive. And a beautiful day. Stanford, California. Damon Wright ready to return the kick from Costal. And a knee down. Stanford will bring it out. First possession belonged to the Cardinal. And Joel, as we look at today's impact players, brought to you by Taco Bell.
You got to start with who Petros just was mentioning, Stepfan Taylor. Just a terrific player. He does everything well. He's great in pass protection, which is going to be key against this very good Oregon State defense. And then Trent Murphy on the defensive side of the ball for the Cardinal. Just an excellent player. 7.5 sacks, 12.5 tackles for loss. Very athletic. He'll be all over the field for that defense.
Yeah, there's Kevin Hogan, the redshirt freshman, 6'4", 224, out of McLean, Virginia. Stepfan Taylor in the backfield, I formation on 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. And we see Hogan on 1st down. And Joel, that's what he brings to the Cardinal offense, is the run ability, a la Andrew Luck.
That's what they were missing. You know, Josh Nunez didn't play poorly. In fact, when they beat Arizona, he was the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week. But Kevin Hogan comes in, and he gives them that element of athleticism, and it allows Pep Hamilton to relax as the play caller. He says he doesn't have to call a perfect play with Kevin Hogan, because he can always take off if it breaks down.
Nice gain, 6 yards on 1st down, 2nd down, 4. Shotgun Hogan. Backs are split. Around the edge, Taylor makes a cut back. He's close to the 1st down, 2nd, 3rd effort, and he pushes the pile to the 41-yard line. David Yankee out front, number 54, the left guard, throwing a nice block for Taylor.
Two very good rush defenses in this game, and so Stepfan Taylor's going to have a big game against the 5th-ranked rush defense in the country. Oregon State doesn't get as many accolades as Stanford, but they're very stout. It's going to be more difficult for them because now they're going to have to be prepared for Hogan in that option game.
2 run plays to start this game, Joel. 1 of 6 yards and 9, and a 1st down at the 40-yard line. 3 wide receivers set, top of your screen, empty backfield. Is Hogan wants to throw for the first time, and he does underneath. That ball was caught and came out. Zach Ertz turned it upfield, lost the football, and Michael Doctor, the weak side linebacker, picks it up. and a turnover early in this game.
An opportunistic turnover for Oregon State. Just a simple crossing pattern over the middle, and Ertz, when he got hit, that ball was just way too loose. That was Feti Tamoipeau, the middle linebacker, number 41, who knocks it out. Oregon State recovers, and their offense now in business on the plus side of the 50 for their first offensive series of the game.
At the 46-yard line after the fumble by Ertz, and Cody Vaz and the Beavers go to work for the first time. Handoff, nothing fancy. Storm Woods out last week against Arizona State with a knee, back healthy. And let's look at today's Taco Bell impact players.
Storm Woods is the starter at running back, but Teron Ward last week filled in for an injured Woods and ran for over 100 yards. Look for him for some contribution today. And then Jordan Poyer, he is their best player, period. He plays returner, cornerback. He's going to be sensational today. There's no doubt.
Pickup of 1, second down 9. Not much. A.J. Tarpley all over Storm Woods, redshirt freshman, Pflugerville, Texas. Fine back, over 4.5 yards a carry.
And a couple of run plays on the first 2 snaps of the game against the best rush defense in the country. You're looking at it, the Stanford Cardinal giving up only 55 yards a game on the ground.
Oregon State, they give up less than 92 yards. Cardinal showing blitz, they come off the edge, they swing it to the middle of the field. Storm Woods drops that pass. It would have been well short of a first down. So we see a very strong Stanford D, and a reason why they are ranked number 1 on the rush defense.
Trent Murphy makes that play on the screen pass. I know Stanford was worried about the screen game from Oregon State. Mike Riley, with that NFL background, taking advantage of potentially an over-aggressive defensive front like Stanford has. They also lead the country in tackles for loss. Trying to get that screen early, but Trent Murphy made a great play.
Costa will punt, averaging 42 yards a kick. He wants to send this high, and he does. It's a good hanger. Terrell underneath it, and it's out of bounds at the 5-yard line. So that defense of Stanford, they get an early test, and the fumble by Ertz. No harm. They stand steady. And the Cardinal back on offense when we roll back on Fox. First and 10, 7-yard line for Stanford. Second goal around early for Hogan and company. Rolls out of the backfield throw to Lolo. Two of their 5 tight ends. You saw Ertz early lost the football. Tololo, Joel, at 6'8", 19th reception. He's caught 4 touchdowns this season.
So athletic, both of these guys, but that play right there, the bootleg, getting Kevin Hogan outside of the pocket is exactly what they wanted to do early in this game. Utilize the athleticism of the young quarterback, and he's able to do that with the tight end. And how about the first missed tackle of the day, number 25, Ryan Murphy, coming up as a safety, misses the tackle and allows the first down.
And a pickup of 13 yards. They go back to the ground, dancing in the middle of the field, not much for Taylor. Now look at the push. A flag on the far side of the football field, but he was stopped dead to right at the 25. You love a back who gives that extra effort.
Got a little help from
offside by the defense. That penalty's declined. The play results in a first down, Stanford.
The Pac-12, Petros, known for passing and finesse offense, but this is just going to be a flat battle today.
Well, I think that's what both teams are basically predicating their success upon in this game, Joel. Running the ball and stopping the run. This is already the most physical Pac-12 game of the year.
Fresh downs, 31-yard line. Hogan on a rollout, stumbles, gathers his feet, has room, and then slingshots it out of bounds as he's chased down at the 27-yard line. Pressure coming from the edge, thanks to Michael Doctor.
Just such a sound defense. You know, whenever you see a quarterback have all the time in the world, get outside of the pocket, continue to keep his eyes down the field, and no one's open, it means everybody's doing their job. 2 of the best here in this conference. Stanford leads the conference in scoring defense, just over 16. Oregon State right behind them, equal to the task, giving up just over 18.
So what that translates to is we're looking at a low-scoring ball game.
You never know, right?
Not in the Pac-12, you never know.
Crazy might happen.
Second down 10, play clock to 5. Hogan, straight back drop throw, threads the needle on the hands of Taylor, and he grabs his 27th catch of the season. Reuben Robinson, number 13, with the tackle.
You always wonder how a young quarterback is going to deal with the pressures of a big game. Watch the pocket, and Hogan steps right up, steps confidently into the throw. Not too much pressure, getting the ball out on time, which is always positive for a young quarterback. So the first few tests of this ball game being passed by Kevin Hogan, 3 of 4 on the day for 26 yards.
Well, David Shaw was asked many times, why make the change? And the simple answer, he's ready. He's ready to take the reins at Stanford. Rolls to his left, fires, touchdown! And a catch complete, 46-yard line. Ertz, remember, had a catch and a fumble, comes back, and the big fella at 6'6" pulled down his 40th reception.
He made up for it on this one, again moving the pocket. This time, very difficult, moving to your left and throwing down the field, and an accurate pass delivered by Hogan. Ertz laying out for this ball, bringing it in and getting that right foot down before he goes out of bounds. Nice drive from Stanford.
And a gain of 18 yards. They're at inside Oregon State territory, 45-yard line. Stop and go as Taylor. Like a scrum. They finally peel off the white and red, and he picks up 2 yards. It'll be second down and 8.
I don't think Oregon State and their defensive coordinator, Mark Banker, really care all that much about these yards in between the 20s. You know, they're predicated on just staying in position, very much like a Kansas State defense or even the TCU defense coached by Gary Patterson. But Mark Banker, one of the best in all of college football, 10th season as the Oregon State defensive coordinator, and he's got one of his better units this year for the Beavers.
And a big challenge today. 7th play of this drive coming up for Stanford. Play action, quick throw, near side. Kesley Young breaks a tackle inside the 30. And Doctor, who's been very busy, making a house call there as he makes the tackle at the 26-yard line.
I love how the offensive lineman got out in front of that screen. Watch the athleticism here. This is David Yankee, number 54, a junior, gets out and clears the path for that screen pass to get down to the 26-yard line. Down the field, always got to do your job. There's the lane cleared out. How about big number 65? That's Wilkes, Khalil Wilkes, the senior from New Jersey, out in front of that screen as well.
We got a little wildcat going on now as they spread out Hogan. Anthony Wilkerson jumped in, took the snap. A little trickery early by David Shaw. Pep Hamilton, the offensive coordinator. Rashad Reynolds staying home, playing his lanes, Joel, and the tackle's made. And that brings up a second down.
They are already just a very different team. We've seen coordinator, and he's got one of his better units this year for the Beavers.
And a big challenge today. 7th play of this drive coming up for Stanford. Play action, quick throw, near side. Kesley Young breaks a tackle inside the 30. And Doctor, who's been very busy, making a house call there as he makes the tackle at the 26-yard line.
I love how the offensive lineman got out in front of that screen. Watch the athleticism here. This is David Yankee, number 54, a junior, gets out and clears the path for that screen pass to get down to the 26-yard line. Down the field, always got to do your job. There's the lane cleared out. And how about big number 65? That's Wilkes, Khalil Wilkes, the senior from New Jersey, out in front of that screen as well.
We got a little wildcat going on now as they spread out Hogan. Anthony Wilkerson jumped in, took the snap. A little trickery early by David Shaw. Pep Hamilton, the offensive coordinator. Rashad Reynolds staying home, playing his lanes, Joel, and the tackle's made. And that brings up a second down.
They are already just a very different team. We've seen them a couple of times this year versus Arizona in a shootout overtime win here at Stanford, and also against Cal. They were very pocket-oriented. Hogan has brought them a completely different dimension with his athleticism getting outside.
Yeah, new chapters in the offensive playbook for Pep Hamilton. Hogan, and alongside is Taylor. Steps in the pocket, has time. Watch out, can run. Breaks a tackle, 20. 15 and out of bounds, saves his body at the 13-yard line. Petros, Kevin Hogan, very refined for a redshirt freshman.
Oh, he's a dual threat out of the D.C. suburbs, and Joel, this is what you're talking about. He's in the pocket, he doesn't like it, so he can take off. Just how different, Joel, early does this Stanford offense look with him taking the snap?
Completely different. You saw it on that last play. I loved how his eyes were down the field early. He was still getting through his progression and only ran when it was there, not just because he was panicked.
10th play of this drive. James at the 13-yard line. They pitch it outside. Taylor hits the edge. 10, cuts, 5, stumbles inside the 1-yard line. Stepfan Taylor. Beautiful blocking scheme up front. Cut it back inside, and right now it's 1st and goal.
And a bunch of Stanford Cardinal out in front, including Ryan Hewitt. You got the wide receiver Drew Terrell out there in front. Everybody getting a piece of somebody wearing a black helmet, allowing that lane to be created for Taylor getting down to the 1.
How about this drive? 13 yards, 10, 18, 17, 14, 11 yards. Big chunks each time they touch the football. 3rd down and goal. Touchdown, Taylor. And for the senior from Mansfield, Texas, Taylor rumbles in for his 9th score of the season, and Stanford strikes first.
What an impressive drive from Stanford. Big chunks of yardage. Like you said, they were able to do it in the pass game, outside of the pocket, in the pocket, as well as running the football against Oregon State.
Jordan Williamson will try the PAT, and it splits the uprights. He's now 31 of 32 on the season. And an impressive drive by one Kevin Hogan. His run ability, we saw it early. And the Cardinal strike first, up by 7 on a 1-yard run by Taylor. Coming back to Stanford Stadium next on Fox. Hogan, impressive drive, 13 plays, 93 yards. Taylor busted in from 1 yard out. And Joel, Stanford is 20-2 when Stepfan Taylor scores a rushing touchdown.
It's a pretty good omen for the Cardinal.
That kick 3 yards deep into the end zone. Vaz, play action, ball taken out of his hand, and another flag at the 37-yard line.
Holding by the offense, number 56. That penalty's declined. 2nd down.
How about this matchup? Number 99, Terrence Stevenson's 305 pounds against a true freshman, Isaac Seumalo. Watch the get off of number 99 as he's going to beat the center, Isaac Seumalo, right off the ball, right there in that left A gap. And then Seumalo, all he has to do is reach with that left arm, and he's going to get a hold. Maybe a little bit ticky-tack with that call, but just a terrific get off by Terrence Stevens.
84th tackle for a loss. That leads the FBS. Stanford's D is everywhere. Beautiful open field tackle. Cooks tripped up. Alex Carter righted up. Can't do it any better. Vaz over the middle, nearly picked off at the 45.
And that's a guy that doesn't miss many opportunities, Ed Reynolds. 5 interceptions on the year, and he might have been gone. There wasn't a lot of Oregon State white jerseys in front of him. He's returned 3 interceptions this year for touchdowns. Look at all that green grass in front of him. The only guy who could have stopped him there was number 24, Storm Woods, but it goes through his hands. Another terrific series from Stanford's defense. They have risen to the challenge here in this huge game.
Yeah, Reynolds had that 52-yard pick for 6 last week against Colorado. Eyed another. They punt away, and this one will bound into the end zone. 67-yard punt. And we've seen Stanford twice now, Joel, on defense. Very impressive both times. Not a better open field tackle right there. Beautiful day, Stanford Stadium. Can't believe it's November 10th. Already 7 first downs for Stanford, looking for more as they try the right side. And popping through is Taylor to the 26-yard line.
Both lines of scrimmage right now just being dominated by Stanford, and it's no surprise in the first quarter they're such a good team, outscoring their opponents so far this year 68-13 in the first quarter. The 13 points, third fewest in the FBS in the country in the first quarter. This team gets out to great starts.
So far, 120 yards of total offense in this opening quarter. Hogan on a roll. He'll throw, flat, caught, Hewitt, the fullback, watch out, breaks a tackle, and is pushed out of bounds at midfield. Hewitt's one of those players that can sneak up on you. Good blocker. He'll get a carry once in a while, and a good receiver. That's his 6th reception and takes it for 24 yards.
They call that a slide route from the fullback. He starts out on the right side, and then he slides back behind the line of scrimmage and gets that bootleg, drop down in the flat, and then he takes off. Ryan Hewitt plays fullback, but he gets a lot of those catches, and he's very good as a fullback in the run game blocking.
Stanford back to the ground. Wilkerson. Well, they're just slipping and sliding. I mean, anything they want, Stanford's offense getting against Oregon State's defense.
For a Greek, I'm not very hairy. It's difficult for me to grow a mustache. Otherwise, I do it. And you're right. I mean, Stanford is controlling the line of scrimmage, Joel. They're having their way. They're moving Hogan around. This Beaver defense makes their living by biting and scratching. But, man, are they getting stepped on right now.
Pick up a 7. 2nd down 3. 163 total yards here early. Wilkerson trying to work his way to the edge. Hits the 30, stiff arms, and is chased out of bounds at the 27-yard line. The old quarterback, and Joel Klett, I know, appreciates the talents of his wide receiver on that play.
Get that foot down and catch the ball. I'm coming back to you.
Hogan sets up a screen. It's Hewitt. Again, hard hit. They chop him down thigh high at the 18-yard line. Anthony Watkins, nice tackle.
The mixture of play calls right now is what's so impressive from Pep Hamilton in this Stanford offense, and that's what Kevin Hogan has been inserted into the lineup for, is the fact that they can get out of the pocket. Now the screen game's going to become much more effective. Now the run game's going to become much more effective just by having an athletic quarterback that can hurt a defense with your legs. They've got to be aware of that, and you see that paying off. 175 total yards so far for Stanford in this first quarter.
And the 9th play of this drive. Here's the ability of Kevin Hogan, much like Andrew Luck. And what hurt Stanford earlier this season, and we've seen them 3 times, Joel, this year, red zone. The red zone ability to put the ball in the end zone, and Hogan gives you another weapon.
He does, and you're going to have to be great in the red zone today to win. And how about the importance of this game? Craig, this North Division so tight. Oregon State, their tremendous season, 7-1, 5-1 in conference play. Stanford, right where they have been the last couple of years, 5-1, chasing Oregon. This becomes essentially a pseudo semifinal game in the division, with both teams having to play Oregon later.
On a boot, Hogan
wide open,
throws on the hands of Hewitt, breaks a tackle, and bangs his way in. Touchdown, Stanford.
How about the flow of the defense? Watch Jordan Poyer. He goes with the tight end. The linebackers all crash with the run fake, and Hewitt is left wide open on another slide route from the fullback. We've seen it once for a big gain and a conversion, and now Kevin Hogan, he's got his fans here at Stanford Stadium. He is really running this offense well.
Hogan's Heroes, one of the old classic comedy sitcoms, and Williamson 2 for 2 on PATs. Stanford on a roll, up 14 late in the first. Impressive start by David Shaw and the Stanford Cardinal. They've had their way with Oregon State here in the first quarter, and they lead by 14. That's it. Hogan, very impressive. Yeah, I mean, he's been able to boot left and right. I talked to Pep Hamilton before the game, the offensive coordinator. He made it clear, look, we're going to be able to run this guy. He doesn't have a weak side of the field.
Well, and Ryan Hewitt hasn't been able to be a huge part of this offense because Josh Nunez was a pocket guy, and it's tough to get the fullback the ball from the pocket. But when you can get your quarterback outside the pocket, now Stanford has developed another weapon. It's not just Hogan on the outside, but it's also their fullback, Ryan Hewitt.
Another double-digit series. That one went 10 plays, 80 yards, short on the kick. Teron Ward has it for Oregon State, finds a hole. Oh, tripped up where he would have been gone past the 20. Shoestring tackle at the 19-yard line. Vaz wants to throw. Oh, coming back to help. Great catch. Marcus Wheaton his 55th grab, and that is now 32 straight games that Marcus Wheaton has caught a football.
And you're struggling so much, both defensively and offensively. Why not go to one of your most reliable players? And that's exactly what Cody Vaz and Oregon State do. Right to Marcus Wheaton, the senior. 54 catches on the year, 787 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Just a terrific player on the outside.
Final play of this quarter, Vaz, 3-step drop, throws far sideline, pitch and catch, and Brandon Cooks with his 51st reception. And Oregon State, a little momentum as we head to the second quarter. But in the first 15 minutes, it was all Stanford. Stepfan Taylor went in first from 1 yard out. Then Hewitt, a touchdown from Hogan. And the Cardinal up 14 on Fox. Stop by, get a haircut if you like at halftime. Oregon State trying to put together their first big drive of the day. Nice run, 45-yard line. Storm Woods storms up the middle and moved the chains. First down for the Beavers. They pick up a 12.
They really needed that. And you know, one of the things that they're going to have to do is get the ball outside to Wheaton and Cooks. Marcus Wheaton, the senior from Chandler, Arizona, he's one of those guys that's such a calming influence on this offense. He's at the bottom of the screen right now. When he gets one-on-one situations, you got to get him the football.
12-yard pickup. Beavers' total offense in the first quarter was 20. Woods, what looked to be a busted play near the chains at the 36-yard line. Jordan Richards, a strong safety with the tackle.
Petros, that's not the first time that Vaz has had trouble with the snap.
No, he's been a little bit shaky in this game taking the snap, and part of it, like we talked about, Joel, is Seumalo having a really tough time with that interior defensive line for Stanford, but they have got to get that shored up because they cannot afford a ball on the ground. Stanford dodged one of those bullets earlier.
It's a good opportunity to get Wheaton the ball here in the slot. One-on-one coverage right there on top of him.
Second down one, could be a free play. Instead, they go to the ground, and it's going to be close if they move the chain. The spot right now looks like he just got past the 35-yard line. Shane Scove, one of the inside linebackers, made the initial hit. So this is good linebacking core for Stanford with Murphy, Scove, Chase Thomas throwing A.J. Tarpley.
Oregon State now finally moving the ball. You know, so starting to get some holes opened up, and it started when they got the ball to the outside. That's going to be real key for them. It's very tough just to turn around and hand the ball off against this very stout Stanford front.
Under center is Van. It pounded. Right side, breaking a tackle is Woods. Takes a couple of Cardinal past the 15-yard line, and fresh downs for Oregon State.
I love the weak side of this offensive line opening up the hole. You're going to see it's not there at the initial point of attack, but Storm Woods is able to then bounce it outside right there and finally find some opening. And because of the upfield movement from the outside linebacker from Stanford, that's what opened up that hole. But credit Storm Woods for keeping his feet moving and moving the chains.
Woods gets a break. He's taking a breather. Teron Ward in the backfield. They'll throw it to the flat. Ward has it, breaks one tackle. Oh, he stacked up and hit hard. Out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Teron Ward, Joel, 5'7", 195. And he takes a lick.
He's a tough dude. He says, keep him coming. I'm not going out of bounds.
Oh,
keep him coming.
Remember the great Walter Payton refused to ever be knocked out of bounds. Wow. Oh, my. Second down 3 after the pickup of 7. Oregon State trying to answer here. Their first touchdown of the ball game. Ward slides through, slips and slides for 6. Teron Ward jumps off the bench, rumbles in for his second touchdown, and all of a sudden Oregon State gets a swagger back here in the second quarter.
Beautiful drive. How about that? The cool, calm composure of Cody Vaz to open up the series with a couple of completions. And then the running game takes over, and that offensive line that was getting beat badly in the first couple of series, they strap on their chin straps and come to play. Boy, those holes were wide open for Oregon State.
Romaine with the PAT, and it's up and good. Romain's made 25 of 27. Teron Ward from 7 yards. And all of a sudden, Oregon State got the mojo going in Stanford. We'll be back on Fox. And back at Stanford Stadium, Oregon State will kick after the touchdown to cut the Stanford Cardinal lead in half. 14-7, no return on a knee. 10 plays, 81 yards. In fact, if you go back to the first quarter, only 2 first downs scored by Oregon State on that drive alone. 4, and they find the end zone. Stanford goes back to work. Stepfan Taylor in the I formation. Hogan play action rolls. Sidesteps some trouble, but tell you what, some good coverage downfield. He's knocked down to the 22.
This Oregon State defense going to have to make some adjustments after those last couple of drives from Stanford.
Long snap count under center. 2nd down, 13 for Hogan. He'll pitch it out. Taylor on his hands, hits the edge, turns the corner, and then is pushed out of bounds. Again, Ryan Hewitt, he's caught a couple of balls, ran the football, he's out front blocking, and was able to seal that edge just enough for Taylor.
And he blocked Jordan Poyer, who's their best defensive player, a corner. Jordan Poyer is a guy that can play all over the field, and he's a lockdown corner, and I think that's going to be really key for him to get in man-to-man coverage so they can commit more safeties to the run game. He's on the slot receiver here at the bottom of your screen. That's Jordan Poyer, one of the best in all of the country.
3rd down and 3. Cardinal 3 for 3 on 3rd down conversions so far in this first half. Low snap. Hogan looks one way, throws the other. In traffic. That was a tough one-handed grab. Zach Ertz came back, helped out his quarterback, and it looks like the mark is going to be shy of the 1st down.
It is going to be shy, and they're going to have to punt, and Oregon State's defense gets off the field. Petro, something they haven't been able to do yet today. That's a huge win for them after their offense went down and scored that last touchdown.
And, you know, I think a lot of the play calling on the Oregon State drive, a lot of those run plays were designed for the defense to get a rest because they were out on the field the entire first quarter. That's a mark of a good coach. Mike Riley coaching for his entire football team. Get that D a rest.
Oh, tough snap. Handled nicely by Zaklinski. Poyer was back to return it, and it bounces out of bounds at the 18-yard line. And when we come back for break, the Fox College Saturday studio will have a preview of the Pizza Hut halftime report. Stay tuned on Fox. Storm Woods the lone back on 1st and 10, 30-yard line. Woods gets a handoff straight ahead, breaks 1 tackle, and drops after a 2-yard gain by Ben Gardner.
Those first 2 series, 3 and outs from Oregon State. 8 yards, 3 yards, and a punt. One of those started in plus territory at the Stanford 46-yard line. It wasn't until that 81-yard drive, 10 plays, they really got something going. And it started with the ball on the outside. You already saw Mike Riley get Cody Vaz back in the pocket, completing that ball to Marcus Wheaton. That's really where their bread and butter is going to be today.
Great shot of Mike Riley, all-time winningest coach at Oregon State with a record of 79 and 64. Play action, Vaz on the hands of Wheaton. Now all of a sudden, Joel, you were talking about getting the passing game in gear. That's exactly what's happening on this offensive series.
And watch him turn around Terrence Brown, the corner. Terrence Brown gets completely flipped. That's a beautiful slant pass. He swims underneath it, gives his whole body to the quarterback. The quarterback frames the ball up, and it's a big conversion. That's why Marcus Wheaton's one of the better wide receivers in all the country.
And a pickup of 16. Vaz has now hit 6 in a row. He spread the wealth with 6 different receivers. Long snap count. Big hole. Woods to the 32. Ed Reynolds came up, free safety, wrapped him up. Right now, good mix, pass, run.
And that passing game is what is opening up that interior run attack. You see all the little fakes and then throwing the ball on the outside. And then finally, when Storm Woods gets the ball, there's the hole. Good attack, north and south, and the decisive runs. Woods never chopped his feet trying to decide which hole to take. He was downhill and very decisive. That was the key to that last run.
Well, that downhill run picked up 19 yards and moved the chains. 1st and 10, 32-yard line of Stanford. 3-step drop, quick hitter, near side. Okay, Stanford playing a little soft on the edge and an easy catch for Wheaton. I think he was surprised he had some room, a little cushion.
This is the chess game that takes place each and every week. Stanford now says, well, we've got to commit another player to the run box, and that's why you're getting an 8-man front and then free access on the outside. When there's only one safety, Craig, that means that the corners have deep responsibility, and a quarterback can stand up and just throw underneath them all day long. Beautiful play calling from Oregon State.
3 straight plays of 16, 19, and 11 yards for Oregon State. They spread the field 4 wide. Receivers, 1st and 10, play clock at 5. Vaz, good protection, throws underneath. Oh, what a catch. Wheaton. He nearly ran by that football. He nearly ran right by it.
I didn't think Vaz was going to catch the snap first. Then he got it corralled. And then how about Wheaton on that catch? Unbelievable athleticism to reach back behind his body while he's running full speed the other way. There's Vaz. You see how he had to reach out to his left. And then the ball severely underthrown back behind Wheaton. Look at him reach all the way back in his fingertips. Remarkable.
12th play of this drive has chewed up nearly 6 minutes. 2nd down. Ward takes on the front of the Cardinal defense, and he'll pick up a couple of hard yards. They'll mark him just around the 3-yard line as we are under 3 minutes in this first half.
It's tough on this hash mark, but this is a type of a down when it's still an opportunity for a first down. It's 3rd and 2. The field is tight. It has shrunk down now inside the 5-yard line.
13th play of this drive for Oregon State. It started on their own 18-yard line. Over 6 minutes on this drive. Vaz throws. You surprised they didn't push it up the middle?
Well, this is the best rush defense in the country. Chase Thomas, number 44, goes up and over the running back who comes in to block. Watch this effort, way up high, and bats that ball down on his way back down to the ground. What an unbelievable effort from the senior All-American outside linebacker Chase Thomas.
That stopped a streak of 9 for 9 off the hand of Cody Vaz. Now Romaine will try the field goal from the 10-yard line, a 20-yard boot, and it's up and good. So our score at halftime, the Cardinal 14, Oregon State 10. Well, let's send you now to the Pizza Hut halftime report in LA. Craig Bolerjack, Joel Klatt here at Stanford Stadium. 14-10, the Cardinal, and the Cardinal owned that lead by 14 in the first quarter. Nice first half by Stepfan Taylor, but then a little turnover issue came into play.
Yeah, really for the entire Stanford team early in this game. Zach Ertz in the first series, he fumbled off of a complete pass, and then late in the half, Stepfan Taylor ends up putting the ball on the ground. I loved what Oregon State was able to do coming back in this ball game, because early in the game it was all Stanford. The first quarter they absolutely owned. They were up 14-0, but then Mike Riley's Oregon State Beavers, they just came out ready to play in the second quarter and made this one a ball game. Plus, they're getting the ball here to open the second half.
And they receive the kick, and the ball goes through Ward's hands and no return. And Petros Papadakis, you had a chance to talk with both coaches. Let's start with David Shaw.
Well, David Shaw, guys, was pretty angry about those 2 turnovers that Joel just talked about. Really angry. But he liked the way that Hogan brought the different dimension to the offense. He said that's what they expected. He does not want turnovers. And as far as Oregon State goes, Mike Riley, like you said, Joel, very happy that the Beavs clawed back. He does not want to see Stepfan Taylor running free a little bit like he was in the second quarter in the second half.
All right, thank you, Petros. Oregon State, 10 unanswered points scored against Stanford after trailing early. And they've got the football as we start quarter number 3. Storm Woods cuts it outside, first down and more. He takes a lick, knocked out by Ed Reynolds. And Joel, I think the stat board will tell you exactly how this game kind of opened up. dominated in the first quarter by Stanford.
And those 20 yards that Oregon State was able to gain in that first quarter, that was just right at the end of the quarter. For a large portion, it was 194 to -4 yards. But then in the second, they were able to get the ball on the outside, and the running game showed up against this very stout Stanford defensive front. You just saw it on the first play. Storm Woods taking it for a first down.
On the play action is Vaz. Good protection, man coverage, up top, coming back for it was Brandon Cooks. Ball a little underthrown, and that allowed Stanford's secondary to play catch-up.
That's exactly what happened, is the underthrown ball in that situation wasn't what you want. In a one-on-one situation when the DB is running directly with the wide receiver, that's when an underthrown ball can be to your benefit. But that time, I thought Cooks had a step. And if that ball was delivered back into the end zone, that was probably going to be 6 points for the Beavers. Cody Vaz wants that throw back.
So that was some of the best protection in the time for Vaz so far in this ball game.
Play action, they've gotten the run game going now.
13 of 18, 102 yards, second down and 5. Three-step drop, throws near side on the hands of Wheaton, breaks a tackle, bumped out of bounds, 32-yard line, and moved the sticks. First down, Oregon State.
You know, I talk about the speed of Cooks, but Wheaton is the guy that, I mean, this dude is blazing fast. 10.5 in the 100 meters last year in a track meet up in Eugene, Oregon. You see the speed right there. If the corner is not in perfect position, the hitch can turn into a big play for Oregon State. 6 catches today, 196th in his career.
He had 4 catches last week, 108 yards and a touchdown of 50 against Arizona State. Woods is knocked down after a pickup maybe of 2 at the 31-yard line.
Petros, Storm Woods looks really good after sitting out a couple of weeks with that knee injury. He's cutting very well.
Absolutely, and you got to say he's been patient, and so has Mike Riley. They've shown a lot of patience and focus to methodically climb out of that 14-0 hole. If they're going to continue in this game to be competitive, it's going to be Woods and Ward breaking tackles and continuing to fall forward, just like on that play.
Second down long, call it 8, 32-yard line. Under center is Vaz. Again, good protection. Nearly intercepted at the 15-yard line. Ed Reynolds blew that play up.
That was the second time today that Ed Reynolds has had his hands all over the football. 5 interceptions coming in today, all the time in the world for Cody Vaz, and then he put the ball in a bad spot. Ed Reynolds reads it perfectly, and he just runs into his own player. A.J. Tarpley was number 17. He's the one who prevented that from being an interception. Ed Reynolds been all over the place, but hasn't capitalized with a turnover yet today.
Oregon State 1 of 6 on third down conversions. It's third and long. Vaz slant on the hands of Cooks. Breaks a tackle, first down and more. Great call by Danny Langsford, the offensive coordinator for Oregon State. Vaz a quick drop and that hot slant, and Cooks turns it into a first down.
I want you to see Oregon State take advantage of the fast flow defense. Watch this, you're going to get all these guys coming, and they run themselves out of the play. And at that point, you drop the ball over their head, and Cooks has the lane to take it for a first down. You get the good downfield blocking from Seumalo and some of the interior offensive linemen, but just a terrific play call in the right situation from Mike Riley in Oregon State.
Cooks back to the ground. This time Woods wrapped up right when he took the football, and he's dropped at the 23 by Terrence Stevens.
And this becomes such an important down because Stanford and their defense is predicated on attacking, getting you behind the chains like they have Oregon State right now. It's imperative that the Beavers get half of this back. You got to cut 2nd and 16 down to somewhere in the neighborhood of 3rd to 7 and 3rd and 8.
Cody Vaz surveys Stanford's defense. Storm Woods alone back. Up top, in traffic, incomplete. 1, 2, 3 red jerseys. Terrence Brown, Richards. They were running stride for stride with Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I thought Cooks was going to have an opportunity because Vaz put that ball perfectly where it needed to be. Up high in double coverage is right where you need it to be because it has to go over the safety, and you got to give your wide receiver an opportunity to catch that ball. But now this is what it does is promotes an entirely poor situation for Oregon State because it's 3rd and 16, and this defense can flat get after the quarterback. 40 sacks, leads the nation so far this year.
Play clock rolls to 5. The snap's away. Vaz dumps underneath, wide open. Wheaton, 10, 5, touchdown! Joel, the underneath routes have been wide open for Cody Vaz and Oregon State throughout the second and third quarters.
And that's taking advantage of the athletic advantage that they have on the outside. The speed of their wide receivers, but you gotta have time to do it. And Cody Vaz hung in the pocket, took a shot, and ultimately got the ball to his wide receiver for a touchdown.
22-yard strike, and after trailing by 14, Oregon State on the road, 17 unanswered. Boy, you get Wheaton's motor running, you can't catch him. Wide open space, and the Beavers are up 3 on the Cardinal. 17 unanswered points by Oregon State.
And another 10-play drive, 75 yards, close to 5 minutes. Marcus Wheaton with the 22-yard touchdown catch. This is a resilient football team. They've done a heck of a job coming back in this game.
Down 10 early. Regained some confidence, and they have been going strong ever since. There'll be no return. Kelsey Young puts down a knee.
Go back to the touchdown. Watch, this is actually a pick play that takes place. The tight end looking for it. See this right here? That pick right there is what ultimately opened up Marcus Wheaton. That was Colby Prince, the tight end, and the blocking downfield was terrific by Brandon Cooks, number 7. He was locked up man-to-man coverage with Terrence Brown, and once he realized it was man, that's where he turns right there. Turns into a blocker and clears the alley for his buddy Marcus Wheaton for the touchdown.
14th career receiving touchdown for Marcus Wheaton. Hogan. Ball batted down, picked off. Ryan Murphy at the 25-yard line. Fafita, number 78, looked to be the one to tip that pass up, and it was free for the taking.
And another huge break for Oregon State. Fafita is the guy who plays it perfectly and is right in the face of Kevin Hogan. I thought he should have just kept running and tried to outflank Fafita, but as he tips the ball, that's when Ryan Murphy, number 25, turns into an athlete. Outstanding athlete. He's a top 100 player in California, coming in as a running back and defensive back out of high school. And how about this field position for Oregon State?
Ball on the 27-yard line to start this drive. They'll in round Cooks. And good stay-at-home defense by Stanford at the 30-yard line. In fact, a loss of 1 for Cooks on that in round. He's carried the ball. He'll be a guy that gets on the edge on occasion. 17th carry of the year now.
You know, that was something in their offense that they developed for Jacquizz Rodgers, you know, and James Rodgers, the Rodgers brothers. And this was a very traditional NFL offense until those two were in Corvallis. They tried to develop things to get them the ball, and they've stuck, especially with these fast wide receivers, Cooks and Wheaton.
A loss of 2, second down 12. Second man through is Storm Woods. And he'll get to the 25-yard line.
Petros, it's interesting. David Shaw has been as animated as I've ever seen him on the sidelines today.
I think he knows his team is in a fight, and this is a physical fight of a football game. Interesting, Joel, we talked to the Stanford coaches yesterday. They did not want Oregon State going over the top, and they prevented that in this game. But it looks like Oregon State can throw it underneath and run, just like Wheaton did on the last touchdown.
3rd down 8. High snap. Vaz brings it down. Try to set up a screen. And Stanford's defense said no thank you. Ben Gardner right there, number 49.
Ben Gardner saved a huge gain and a conversion right there, falling back into the screen pass. Third down has been screen central for Oregon State, and Stanford hasn't adjusted. They've been coming hard with some blitzes and pressures to try to get to the quarterback, but Ben Gardner did a sensational job of falling in the lap of that screen and batting it down, forcing a field goal opportunity.
His first field goal officially from 21 in the second quarter. This will be a 42-yard attempt. It kicks up. And good. Romaine 2 for 2 today. That turnover cost Stanford 3 points. And Oregon State on top 20-14. Interception. And it cost Stanford a 42-yard boot by Romaine. We'll be back on Fox. Welcome back, Stanford, California. Stanford Stadium. Cardinal have won 7 straight on this field. And right now they've given up 20 unanswered points to Oregon State. Kicks away. And no return. Stanford has not found the end zone since the first quarter. They trail by a count of 20-14. Little shovel pass. Not much. In fact, a loss of 5 by Scott Crichton, who jumped on Stepfan Taylor. Hogan underneath. Get the 5 yards back to Ertz. And turnovers have been an issue.
Yeah, and confidence, you know, and that's what ultimately gets eroded out when you turn the ball over, is the confidence of the team, especially when it's 2 of your best players. Stepfan Taylor fumbles on this play right before the half. Zach Ertz on the first series. This one was probably more about OSU making a play, Oregon State making a play on Kevin Hogan, rather than a missed assignment or a poor decision. But 3 turnovers to Oregon State's no turnovers. Stanford plus 11 in the turnover margin in the first 9 games, so struggling today.
This will be 3rd down and 10. Hogan from the shotgun. Watch out. Pressure from the edge. Anthony Watkins grabbed his shoulder pad and tossed him for a big loss. That brings up a punting situation for the Cardinal.
There was nowhere to go with this ball. This blitz came from depth. You see where Watkins from the bottom of your screen came in, but this is why there was coverage for days. Now that ball possibly could have gone to the outside, but he didn't have time because of the Watkins blitz. So a terrific design there from Mark Banker.
Zaklinski will punt inside his own 5-yard line. Joel, Oregon State's going to have some good field position here on a low snap and a line drive kick taken by Poyer. Stutter step 50. And Oregon State will get it back inside Stanford territory at the 49-yard line. Oregon State on the road. They were down early. They've rallied back. 20 unanswered. Things going well for the Beavers. Up by 6 on Fox. A look at the logistics between a winning team. Boy, we come out of the break. Brandon Cooks, Oregon State, the swagger, the confidence on the road. Boy, they've got plenty of it right now.
They sure do. And it started, if you think back, 14-0. What did they do when they had just been dominated the entire first quarter? They came out, and on the very next drive to settle them down, they went right to Cooks and Wheaton. And that's been a huge key for Oregon State.
Storm Woods. They set it up in the middle. Colby Prince, the tight end. Little chip block off the line and dragged underneath. 25-yard line. Back to action we go. They set it up underneath, and Storm Woods is tackled down in a hurry at the 26-yard line. Hit down by Henry Anderson.
And they were trying to get another screen. Petros, this is one of the best screen teams in the country, and it seems like every time they're behind schedule, that's what they drop down there.
How many different screens do they have? I mean, how many can you run in a game, Joel?
Well, they run a lot of different screens. They've got them off of play action. They did a swing screen that you saw in the last play to the tight end. They've got running back screens. They've got the jet screen to the wide receiver. But right now, they're going to go empty in the backfield, and you got to think that a guy like Marcus Wheaton is going to have a great chance to get this ball.
Play clock to 5 on 3rd down and 5. Vaz in the shotgun, steps up, throws, and I think the footsteps. Kevin Cummings got turned around a little bit, and he knew a hard shot was coming. He got hit once and Not once, but twice.
You know, I don't like it, Petros. Cody Vaz as a quarterback, I know he's fairly inexperienced, but you got to know where your bread is buttered. That ball on a third down in a crucial situation's got to go to Marcus Wheaton or Brandon Cooks. You can't throw it to Kevin Cummings in the middle of the field.
He did have a big catch versus ASU last week, and I think they might have overthought that one, trying to get him involved there on the Texas route. It was open.
This will be the third try for Romaine today. 21 and 42-yard attempts. He's made 8 straight field goals. This will be from 44. Kicks away. And the hot foot of Trevor Romaine continues. He's booted 3 through the uprights. And it's now a 23-14 lead for Oregon State. Blue skies above Stanford Stadium. Cardinal again winning 7 straight on this field, but they have fallen down a bit. Have allowed 23 unanswered by visiting Oregon State, and the Beavers will kick away. One yard deep, and Kelsey Young to the 26-yard line. Joel Klatt, Petros Papadakis here on Fox against Oregon State and Stanford. Glad you're alongside. 14-0 early for the Cardinal. 23 unanswered by Oregon State, and nearly through the third quarter. Taylor shuffles his feet, and Oregon State follows. Kevin Dancer. Joel was out front, number 76, trying to find a little room for Taylor to run.
Ryan Murphy, the safety, number 25, he's the one that comes up and ultimately shuts off the hole that Stepfan Taylor wanted to run through. This defense just playing right now so sound. They're not blitzing a lot. They're just doing a heck of a job being in the right position, the right time. 14
carries, 83 yards. He had 78 of those in the first half. In traffic, nearly intercepted. Rashad Reynolds was back there, but it was Anthony Watkins who batted that ball down. Pretty impressive coverage this ball game by Oregon State secondary.
You know, Anthony Watkins has been battling a hip injury all year long. You know, he's missed a little bit of time. He's been kept out of practice, and he's played very well, and he's played fast today. Tells me that he's ultimately extremely healthy. And now Kevin Hogan forcing another third down today. 4 of 6 coming into the game. 38%, 82nd in the country.
Play clock hits 6. Takes a snap with 3 seconds to spare. Flushed from the pocket, tucks and goes. Hogan. The escape ability of Kevin Hogan pushes the chains. First down, Stanford.
And that's exactly what they've been missing ever since the first quarter, is the athleticism. That's why Kevin Hogan is the starting quarterback for Stanford today, is because he can make plays with his feet, and he does so on a really critical third down. Hadn't gotten anything going, especially with Oregon State's offense on a roll. They needed to stay on the field.
8 carries, 37 yards. Last week he had 7 in the win against Colorado for 48. Back to the ground. Stepfan Taylor weaves his way to the 40. He'll pick up 6, and he was running behind Hewitt, the fullback. I tell you, like Hewitt's game. I tell you, you know what? He's a player like in basketball. You always move without the ball. Hewitt's the same way. He'll catch, he'll run, he'll block.
Really good as a fullback in the run game blocking, but you know, in the first half we saw him being very effective as a wide receiver on those boot plays slipping out of the backfield.
8th play of this drive. 2nd down, 6 in the pocket. Hogan flushed. Flings it. Taylor wide open, hits the edge, breaks it. 20, 15, stiff arms, 10, 5, touchdown. Yards like a wizard. I've never seen a cut and a stiff arm and a breakaway speed on that play by Taylor. What a way to run out the third quarter.
The Houdini act started with the quarterback, though. Kevin Hogan getting away from the pressure and ultimately dumping the ball to Taylor, who took off, and just a sensational job of running after the catch to get that ball into the end zone.
Oh, this is going to set up an interesting fourth quarter here in Stanford. The PAT is up and good. Oh, it's worth a second look. Stepfan Taylor, it did start with Hogan, nearly down on a knee. And 40 yards later, Stepfan Taylor finds the end zone. 2-point game, 23-21 on Fox. Stanford closes out the third quarter on a big touchdown, 40 yards. Stepfan Taylor, it's a 2-point ball game. Craig Bolerjack, Joel Klatt, how's this momentum going to change off in the fourth quarter?
It's going back and forth. I love it. This is absolutely what we thought was going to happen. 21-23 now with a quarter to play. These two teams playing really sound football. I love what Stanford was able to do, answering Oregon State's scoring drives. And the real key for me has been that Stanford has forced Oregon State to kick field goals in the red zone rather than allowing touchdowns. That's what kept them in the ballgame.
Storm Woods blown back on 1st and 10. And that ball overthrown. The intended receiver, at least the only wideout in the area, was Cooks, number 7. And that brings up 2nd down and 10 for Cody Vaz in Oregon State.
And a big possession for Stanford's defense. Oregon State has scored on 5 of their last 6 possessions. Now, the Stanford D has held, and some of those have been field goals. However, they've got to hold and get their offense back on the field because the momentum and the crowd back in this game and back on Stanford's side.
Vaz play action. Out of the pocket he comes. Pumps. Oh, lost it! Stanford has it. 29-yard line. What a series for Moreau. He was on that ball. And now Stanford down by 2 in business at the Oregon State 29-yard line.
And this is the head coach's worst nightmare. Both quarterbacks, both very inexperienced, enter the starting fray in the middle of the season. He's trying to pump the ball so that he can run and just drops it onto the ground. He drops it when he's trying to tuck it. Inexperienced quarterbacks making mistakes in the fourth quarter, both of them. Kevin Hogan on the previous series and Cody Vaz. It's written all over his face. He knows it.
Oh, it's a great shot as Vaz is on the headset. The frustration on his face. And now Hogan back to work. In round. Rashad Patterson. Oregon State's defense stayed at home, played the lanes. That's a big loss. Tossed back to the 36-yard line.
You know, this is the point in time when patience really pays off for both a play caller, a quarterback. And on the previous series, Kevin Hogan tries to get, well, a little greedy, and he throws the ball right to Rashad Reynolds. And now Pep Hamilton, he gets a little greedy on his first play call after a turnover. Those type of plays don't work against Oregon State because they're always staying at home. They're one of the most disciplined defenses in the country. Poor play call there for Stanford.
A loss of 7. And 2nd down and 17, under 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Back to the ground, big hole. Taylor weaves his way past the 25. That's a big chunk. You got about 12, make that 11 yards back on that one run by Stepfan Taylor.
Makes it a really good situation for a conversion because now you're back within 5 yards. 3rd and 5 now for a young quarterback. Zach Ertz in the low slot.
Taylor flirting with a 100-yard game, 16 carries for 99. Little draw play. 1st down, Taylor over 100 yards to the 18. Tyreek Zimmerman, the strong safety, came up and made the tackle.
Michael Doctor, number 40, the linebacker, he was trying to bait the official for a holding call. He comes through, and right there, that's the tackle that was missed. Stepfan Taylor moved to his right, and he was pleading for a holding call, but it was really just a great block by the Stanford offensive lineman. Doctor was just shielded off. Taylor read the block, got around him for the conversion.
19th career 100-yard game for Stepfan Taylor. That is now 2nd most in Stanford football history. On a boot goes Hogan, throws, caught, Ryan Hewitt. And out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Hewitt again has been a terrific weapon in this football game. We're in the fourth quarter here at Stanford Stadium. Craig Bolerjack, Joel Klatt, Petros Papadakis, number 11 Oregon State, And number 14 Stanford, a couple of good battles going on here in the north of the Pac-12.
This looks a lot more like that first quarter Stanford team. Getting the ball to Hewitt out of the backfield. Mike Riley got to be disappointed in his quarterback, Cody Vaz, giving him this opportunity.
First and goal. Hogan barks the calls, looks at the end zone, up top. Touchdown, Ertz. Ninth reception, 75 yards, a touchdown. What a weapon to have in your arsenal. A tight end, the likes of Zach Ertz.
They're going to go for 2 here. Up by 4, the correct call. 5 minutes to go. Five-point lead, no different than a 4-point lead, so might as well try to get to the 6-point margin.
So David Shaw opts to go for 2, spreads the field. Hogan tucks, reaches, and he's going to be short. And so it's a 27-23 ball game with just over 5 minutes left. And it was the Vaz fumble that started this drive and this touchdown run for the Stanford Cardinal. So the ball's on the ground, the Cardinal cover, and then the touchdown over the top. Ertz on top, 27-23. Zach Ertz, number 86, tight end for Stanford, getting a rest. 5th touchdown reception, a 13-yarder from Hogan. And it's a 4-point game with just over 5 minutes remaining. Now that's what you don't want.
Boy, this is unbelievable. It's coming down to the wire. 2 5-1 teams in the North Division. Got a 4-point margin. Got 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Boy, if you don't like this, you don't like football. This is as good as it gets right here.
Love it. Oregon undefeated. Of course, these 2 teams still will play the Ducks before this season runs out. And here we go with 3:46 on the clock. Oregon State with the football, down by 4. Vaz incomplete. Brandon Cooks. So he had man coverage, and you know what? He makes that catch. He may turn it on the corner and go.
And Vaz hasn't been anywhere near where he was in the second quarter. He is really struggling at this point, and this is the biggest point in the game. They've got to have somebody stand in the pocket and make a play. Right now, number 14 is that guy. He's got to step up and make a play.
High snap. Vaz over the middle. In traffic. Great catch. Connor Hamlet, the H-back. And he comes up limping a little bit, the sophomore out of Edmonds, Washington.
4 vertical routes. He reads the middle safety and delivers a strike. That's the play I'm talking about. Quality ball delivered down the middle of the field by Cody Vaz.
That's his second catch. Hamlet, high snap again. Wide open, far side. And that's going to stop the clock as Wheaton is able to wiggle out of bounds about a yard shy of the first down. Now remember, Joel, Oregon State had to use those timeouts to get the ball back and played some big-time defense. Stanford's got 3 if they need them. But the clock stops now with 3:19 to go.
And not a factor. With the ability to stop it with a first down or get out of bounds, you should be able to manage this clock. Mike Riley being cognizant of it, looking up, knowing where the clock is at all times. But still, for Cody Vaz, you're not worried about it until you get inside of 1:30, Craig.
Now the clock winds to 3 minutes.
Cooks, bottom of your screen, best playmakers for Oregon State.
Pressure. Vaz able to get the ball out of his hands. Cummings with the catch. Stanford was in the backfield, blink of an eye.
Well, and this is why that penalty was such a big deal, because it set Stanford up to have an opportunity on 3rd down. And here it comes down to a 3rd down. One of the best in all of the country on 3rd down defense. 30%, that's 15th in the country, is Stanford. Cody Vaz got to make a play for the Beavers.
Vaz punts once. On the run. Pressure. Pulled down. Debniak. And we're seeing why the Stanford defense is so good in sacks and tackles for losses. Vaz is down.
Only 2 down linemen with their hands in the dirt, and they both get to Cody Vaz. What an unbelievable job by both Henry Anderson as well as Ben Gardner. That was actually Alex Debniak that got the sack, a backup outside linebacker, a senior from Michigan, hard-working player. He's been a special teams guy. He's the one that ultimately got to Cody Vaz. And Oregon State, with no timeouts, is going to be forced to go for this. 4th and long, and Sean Mannion back in the huddle. First play of the game for him. What a situation for the former starting quarterback of the Beavers.
He was injured week 4 against Washington State. Vaz came in and won 3 in a row as a starter. 4th down as we hit the 2-minute mark. Mannion fires over the top, and it's incomplete. That ball was nearly caught by Hamlet, and it brings up 4th down in a punting situation for Oregon State. Pardon me, that was the 4th down throw.
And how about how big that penalty becomes on Colin Kelly? I mean, Mannion tried. That was quite a throw. I mean,
he's cold coming off the bench and threw a dart over the top.
Hamlet almost had that football. That would have been a 1st down, but now with no timeouts left, Stanford able to just take a knee.
Yep, no timeouts. Hard-fought game as the clock's under 2. Hogan on a knee. And speaking of knees, you know, you look back at that replay, and I was watching Vaz, his left leg with a brace, and it looked like it got caught a little bit in the turf, and he couldn't get it up off the ground, and that caused maybe a knee injury for him.
And ultimately, that pressure from Stanford's defense becomes the deciding factor. Number 1 in the country in sacks, number 1 in the country in tackles for loss, and ultimately, what does it come down to? Even a backup making a play. Alex Debniak bringing Vaz to the ground and giving Stanford the win and setting up quite the showdown next week up in Eugene. Stanford and Oregon. Boy, it seems like the last few years that's what it's come down to.
8 consecutive wins at home here at Stanford Stadium. Hard-fought game. Good football game. 2 programs. Oregon State with a great turnaround, Joel, from a year ago. 3-9. This will be only the 2nd loss for Oregon State. And their only loss before today was on the road at Washington by 3.
What a great football game.
David Shaw, headphones are off. He'll run across and shake the hand of Mike Riley. So Oregon State, 11th ranked against the 14th ranked Stanford Cardinal. They'll drop it on the road by 4. (27-23) our final.